we will finally honour what take back control meant and begin to choose who comes here, so that migration works for our national interests. That is what this white paper will deliver. Lower net migration, higher skills, backing British workers.
Did you see that? Did you?
Good evening, YouTube people. In the name of socialism, I hereby declare this stream open. How are you brewing tonight? Welcome to the Brews at 10 on my left eye. I'm your host Lefty. You're all very welcome here. What You Whistle Wednesdays. Let me know how you're doing in the chat. We've got Hedy Davinia and Emma Richardson. Great to see you. How do you brew? Davinia, thank you very much. Great way to start the stream. 5 gifted memberships. Excellent stuff. Much appreciated. Long-term supporter and viewer on the channel. Hope you're enjoying your sandwich as well. Thanks again, Solidari-Tea, for that. Floor Snake, great to see you also. Thanks for throwing up the watermelons. Gaz is on the agenda tonight as well later on, of course, after PMQs. There being a Wednesday, and of course, PMQs comes with a game of Keith's Catchphrases, latest edition, and a new contender, people. Sorry about the bit of a glitch at the start of the stream. The intro music decided to reset itself a few seconds in. Don't adjust your devices. That was just a slight glitch at this end. So yeah, those 5 gifted memberships take us very close to the target of 100. Could we surpass the ton on this very stream? Who knows? That's certainly a big help. Thanks again, Davinia. Done something unprecedented as well, people. This has never happened before on a stream. Come on to a stream with barely a third of a cup of tea left instead of a fill to the brim. Ready, let's tea the shit out of this live stream attitude kind of brew, you know. I won't have to dip away just yet, so just slowly sip what I've left. I'll just nurse that baby. Actually, Hedy, there were 5 gifted. There's a comment in between the final 2 as you're reading down there. Just after Emma Richardson's comments about the substitutions for healthy eating. What was the one from The Simpsons? This donut's got purple in it, and purple's a fruit. So it counts. Yeah, it's definitely 5 though. Confirmed. It is, they're normally just coming together. It must just be the timing of the comments. Easy mistake to make. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And we've got a doctor in the house as well. How you doing, Doc? More members joining us, which will prompt me to play the latest, well, almost the latest list. It needs updating already, so this was the members list at time of coming onto stream. Thank you very much, everybody. Got a few to add later on. That's awesome stuff. Plenty of perks if you want to join this roster of members. The awesome premium brew crew. The marvellous members list, even. Yeah, do check them out. Check out those perks. And is that another 5? Wow, fantastic. Divinia on fire. Marvellous. See what awesome members we have on the channel. As I was just saying. Oh, so that's very good news as far as the total's concerned. I'll update that now and reveal at the end of the roster, which is just now as it happens. So, I can declare we are within but 1. We are within but 1 for anybody counting along with the members list. Had 89 coming onto stream and 10 gifts from Divinia. That's marvellous. Solidari-Tea. Once again, it takes up to 99. We're very, very close. Okay, time to get you good people up on the screen. Just change the logo. Okay, yeah, that's all running in real time now. Also, coming up, Tom Fletcher from the United Nations gave an absolutely righteous condemnation of Israel during investigation proceedings today about the use of starvation as a weapon. I'll be taking a look at a few other things as well. Yeah, fingers crossed, Davinia will get over the line. Should have said thanks again, everybody who's renewed as well. That's super important. It's there, Heady, in with a bang as well, and that's it. Yes, we've done it. We've done it, people. Marvellous. I'll just write this in. Achieved. Awesome. Have I spelled that right? Is it I before E, E before I? With her anyway. It's 100. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Heady and Davinia, for getting us over the line tonight. Fantastic. I've not got a celebration video prepared, unfortunately. I was going to do that when we were getting close a few weeks ago. Obviously, I've been busy with other content, but marvellous. Give yourselves a clap, a pat on the back. I'm going to throw you some love there in the chat myself. Yes. So I guess we'll celebrate with tonight's opening comedy clip, just to keep the good vibes going. Before we subject ourselves to PMQs. Speaking of PMQs, no doubt we'll be seeing Rachel Reeves in the frame. So this is the latest from Nerine Skinner and Pet Peeves with Rachel Reeves.
And well, peeves with Rachel Reeves. This week, I'm mainly peeved with people saying that I and I are a lot. It's not something that I do, and I don't think that it's fair, because actually there's no evidence to suggest that. So umming and ahhing can go in the peeve bin. I'm also peeved with people moaning about their pension funds. Don't worry, I can fix it. I will be dimming the sun. This will stop people from having the temptation to go away, putting money back into your pocket. You also can't afford to go away because of the £22 billion black hole left by the Tories. So stick your sun where the sun doesn't shine. Ha! Finally, I'm peeved with trampolines. You can go up and down like the economy, and it's triggering for me because I always fall through the springs when I pike. Trampolines could go in the pave bin. Goodbye.
Nerine Skinner. I love that. I think that, yeah, that's my favourite one of hers now, the Rachel Reeves one. Go and give her a follow on YouTube. Fellow streamer there. She also does Liz Truss, a few others as well. Great impersonator. Maybe one day she'll team up with the Pat McFadden Experience, who knows? Only joking. Right people, are we ready for PMQs and Keith's catchphrases? You bet your bollocks we are. Right. We'll dive in and we'll just very quickly get on to explain the rules and stuff for anyone who's not familiar. So off we go.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole. Plan for change. 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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, it's Keith's catchphrases. A few examples there. So it's very basic. We pit two words or phrases against each other, and well, I'll explain the rules. It has to be Starmer who says them. It's got to be Keith. It is Keith's catchphrases. The phrases get knocked out after two losses in a row, which happened to former contender Change last week. Rule number 3, slight variations are allowed, including future and past tenses and whatnot. Yeah, pretty simple really, and whoever gets the most mentions will be the winner. If it ends up being a draw, it carries on to the next week. And the current reigning champion at the moment is Postman Swat himself. So that's for Deliver, and has been the champion for some time. So now I can introduce a new contender. Well, let's see. We've been busy behind the scenes here on My Left Eye, scouting and picking out the best contenders in the United Kingdom, real thoroughbreds. No, once again, I've tried to sculpt it around what's currently going on in the news, because that's got the most chance of coming up in the House of Commons. So I've done a new, incredibly professional looking and not crude whatsoever logo for, for the new contender, which will be, drumroll please, don't have a drumroll sample anymore, but it will be Deal. Deal will be the new contender, people. After what happened in India and between the United States, Starmer will probably try and use as many chances as he gets to try and brag about these hyperbolic, overstated trade deals. So there you have it. No, that's Mr. Wanker on the phone, not Mr. Banker. It's probably Benjamin Netanyahu or somebody. What's he? You know, he's finding out how much he's getting lobbied next time. He's saying, hey, we're taking some heat from the United Nations at the moment. Just make sure that you don't acknowledge that it's an illegal occupation and a genocide in the House of Commons. Make sure this gets through to Lammy. Okay. Send you the PayPal now. Dring, dring. It's probably going off the hook every 10 seconds. Alright, so Deal will be the latest contender. Let's bring up the scoreboard. You can say wanker on YouTube because I just did. So I don't know if you can in the chat. I'm not gonna reprimand you for it, unless you're talking about me. No deal would count. Yes, that would count as a variation. I'm hoping it will come up. It might say trade deal. That'll count, for example. Our deal with India. La, 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 la. You know, I don't know. I've not seen PMQs yet, by the way. This is my initial and genuine reaction as we go through. Alright, I think we're ready to commence. Off we go. Where's Lindsay? There he is. Take it away, Hoyle. You big flannel mouth, useless chocolate radiator ashtray on a motorbike. Speak. Your job is to speak. You can at least get someone who can construct a sentence.
Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, can I welcome into the gallery the speakers of Anguilla, Bermuda, British Virgin Islands, the Falkland Islands, Gibraltar, Montserrat and St Helena. Lorraine Beavers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question number one.
Here.
Mr. Speaker.
Someone's enthusiastic. They've just done the routine question number one. So here. Is it your first day, love? I mean, really?
Over the past week, we've secured a historic trade deal with India and a
yes.
landmark agreement with the United States, protecting and creating British jobs, slashing tariffs and driving...
Oh, just a sec. Did he say delivered a deal? I'll have to go back slightly. But in with a bang there.
Helena. Lorraine Beavers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question number one.
Mr. Speaker, over the past week, we've secured a historic trade deal with India and a landmark agreement with the United States.
1-0 to the contender, who's coming out and dancing like Fred Astaire.
Driving economic growth. We've also published a white paper setting out how this government will end the open borders experiment of the party opposite bringing net migration down, backing British workers and delivering fair control of our borders.
Oh, but Postman swap
Mr
bites
Speaker, I
back
know
there.
the whole House will also want to mark the 40th anniversary of the Bradford City fire. We remember the victims of that devastating tragedy and celebrate the strength of
We're
the
off to a
community.
fast start here.
Mr Speaker,
today,
this morning
people.
I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others in addition to my duties in this House. I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 14 years of
Yeah, I just want to point out that anniversary of that awful tragedy has come up in the news. Recently, 56 people died in a tragic fire here in the north of England at Bradford's football ground. That did lead to massive reform about how grounds are built, stadiums, and so on and so forth. It's believed it was started by a discarded cigarette. This was back in the 80s, I think, late 70s. Apologies. I'm not from Bradford, but with all the rubbish, discarded crisp packets and pie wrappers and whatnot that collected underneath these series of benches, it was an accident waiting to happen, unfortunately, and now obviously grounds are constructed with concrete and you can't smoke there and things like this, but 56 people tragically lost their lives.
Conservative cuts have stripped the Environment Agency of the resources and the staff they need to properly deal with badly managed landfill sites, blighting communities like mine. The Jameson Road landfill site in my constituency of Blackpool North and Fleetwood has been producing toxic
Blackpool in Lancashire.
stenches for over a year now, causing nosebleeds, headaches, vomiting and breathing problems for my residents. Will the Prime Minister commit to ensure the Environment Agency have the staff and resources to police badly managed sites like this and across the country so they can act swiftly and effectively to protect communities like mine?
Mr Speaker, I love the fact that when anyone says 14 years of a Conservative government, they'll go, oh no, that's how the country feels. Mr Speaker, once again, a hard-working Labour MP
Christ, people get paid to write that, probably.
clearing up the mess that was left behind. Our residents deserve far better. We expect rapid improvements. We're closely monitoring air quality and won't hesitate to take further
Is Rachel
action.
Reeves there?
She's right, we must tackle rogue operators who blight our communities. That's why we've boosted Environment Agency funding by £188 million, alongside tough new rules on incinerators and commercial fly tippers.
Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Bell.
If I may, Mr Speaker, Sir Roy Stone served 13 chief whips and prime ministers from Margaret Thatcher to Boris Johnson, and I'd like to pay tribute to his extraordinary service and send my best wishes to his family. And also, before we start, Mr Speaker, I would like to say to the Prime Minister how horrified I was to hear about the attack on his family home. It is completely unacceptable, and I think I speak for the whole House when I say that this wasn't just an attack on him, but on all of us and on our democracy.
Still no further news on that, as we spoke about yesterday. 21-year-old was arrested, also in connection with arson on a vehicle that apparently used to belong to Keith, and there are other links to previous cases as well. Keep you posted.
Yesterday, we learned that unemployment is up
And he'll keep your postman swatted.
10% since the election. Why does the Prime Minister think unemployment is rising on his watch?
Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, can I pay tribute to Roy Stone as well and the service that was given us in various capacities. Can I thank her for her words about the attacks on me and my family and the kind messages from many others in the last few days. She did actually message me pretty well straight away, and I really do appreciate that. And she's absolutely right that this is an attack on all of us, on democracy and the values that we stand for. Mr Speaker.
No, I think it's just you, really. Reeves is really giving it the ghoul stare. I'd noticed as well in that pale, well, that's ghoulish green blazer that's sort of almost blending in, clashing with the seats.
She comes here every week to talk the country down. We've got 200,000 new jobs, record investment, 4 interest rates cut. Contrast that to the disastrous Liz Truss mini-budget, inflation through the roof, and a £22 billion black hole.
Former contender there as well.
I'm not sure the Prime Minister even knew that unemployment was up, but there's no point him blaming everyone else. The fact is, Conservatives reduced the deficit every year until the pandemic, more than doubled the personal allowance. We left 4 million extra jobs, tackled the post-pandemic inflation spike, and left the fastest-growing economy in the G7.
An inquiry has revealed this week that the mistakes that the Tory government made during COVID probably cost hundreds of thousands of lives in Britain. Hundreds of thousands. Don't give us that, Kemi. You're just as bad as Keith is, though.
Let's talk about what is happening today. Let's look at Beals, a 180-year-old department store in Dorset. They survived 2 world wars and the winter of discontent, but they couldn't
And then Thatcher.
survive this Labour government. Beals is having, and I quote, Mr. Speaker, a Rachel Reeves closing down sale. What does the Prime Minister have to say to all the people who have lost their jobs?
Mr. Speaker, nobody wants to see job losses, but she must be the only person left in the country.
This is how ineffective Lindsay Hoyle is. They don't even care that he's there. They're halfway through their first sentence in the reply before you hear him go, Prime Minister.
Who thinks the economy was booming, asked the last government. We've created new jobs, record investment, trade deals that they tried. The India deal, I think they tried for 8 years and failed. We did that deal. They talked about a US deal. We did
bloody!
That
I think I've backed a winner here, people. Right, I'm going to have to go back. That was... let's keep counts. But...
To all the people who have lost their jobs.
Mr. Speaker, nobody wants to see job losses, but she must be the only person left in the country who thinks the economy was booming, asked the last government. We've created new jobs, record investment, trade deals that they tried. The India deal, I think they tried for 8 years and failed. We did that deal. They talked about a US deal. We did that deal. We tend to get a stronger relationship with the EU. The former trade minister must be the only former trade minister who's against all trade deals which boost our economy. She says she's against the India deal, even though it's got the same provisions she put on the table. She's against the US deal, even though it saved thousands of jobs in car manufacturing.
Oh, Postman Swats, I think you've met your match. How many were we up to there? 8? No. Bloody hell. Excuse me. Bit of a frog in my throat. Wow. We're going to have to go back again, sorry. This is... Okay, so... we're on 1. So we'll keep a running total from 1. Go for it, Keith.
Mr. Speaker, nobody wants to see job losses, but she must be the only person left in the country who thinks the economy...
I'm not going to do the ding-ding, because that's just going to distract me from counting at this rate.
was booming, asked the last government. We've created new jobs, record investment, trade deals that they tried. The India deal, I think they tried for 8 years and failed. We did that deal.
4.
They talked about a US deal.
5.
We did that deal. We
6.
tend to get a stronger relationship with the EU. The former trade minister must be the only former trade minister who's against all trade deals which boost
7.
our economy. She says she's against the India deal, even though
8.
it's got the same provisions she put on the table. She's against the US deal, even though
9.
it saves thousands of jobs in car manufacturing. Mr. Speaker, most absurdly, she says she's going to rip up the EU deal when she hasn't
10.
even seen what's on the page. They're reduced to a brain rot. A once great political party is sliding into brain-dead oblivion.
10,
Mr. Speaker,
1.
I'm very happy to welcome his tiny tariff deal, but the fact is, it has put us in a worse position than we were in March. He should not over-egg the pudding. Let's talk about how things are getting worse now. In every month of this year, household names like Sainsbury's, Tesco, Asda, and Santander have cut staff. The ONS estimates that there are 100,000 fewer jobs than a year ago. And this was before his jobs tax, which will make things worse.
That sort of rate before.
Can the Prime Minister promise the House that by this time next year, unemployment will be lower than it is today?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think she just said a tiny tariff deal. Can I suggest that she gets the train to Solihull? Yes, exactly. 2 hours, goes to speak to the workforce at JLR, their families, and their communities, to tell them she would rip up the deal that protects their jobs. And when she's done that, she might travel across to Scunthorpe and tell the steelworkers there she's going to rip up the deal that saves their jobs. And then if she's got time, go up to Scotland and talk to the whisky distilleries. Tell them she'd rip up the deal that's creating 1,200 jobs for them, boosting their exports, and then come back here next week and tell us what reaction she got.
I didn't hear a promise to get unemployment down, and that's because he knows things are going to get worse. And this goes wider than businesses. Last week, I met staff and patients at Farley Hospice. They do fantastic work, but they need to find an additional £250,000 to pay the jobs tax. How does he suggest Farley Hospice, a charity which relies on donations, pays for his tax hike?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we have provided £100 million boosting for the sector, and Children and Young Person Hospital.
Well, my smoke alarm just went off because Deal is absolutely on fire at the moment.
Received £26 million funding this year. But, Mr. Speaker, she turns up every week to cart from the sidelines. But what she doesn't do, she moans about what we had to do in the budget to stabilise the economy. But she hasn't got the courage to stand there and say that she would reverse the next decisions that we take. And I know why. It's because she doesn't want to say she's against the £26 billion investment in our NHS. She doesn't want to say she's against the £1.2 billion more for our police. She doesn't want to say she's against the £3.2 billion.
I think I've still got it here. Yeah. Just a quick reminder there. Every bloody week.
£1 billion more for our schools. All the time she doesn't have the courage of her convictions. It shows that her criticism is totally confected.
Mr. Speaker, I can't believe the Prime Minister is still using this figure. We had this very conversation at the dispatch box. He knows it is just capital spending. It's either he's not paying attention or he is saying things to disguise what is going on. That money will not pay for the jobs tax. He knows that, and the hospices know it too. And the other people who know that things are getting worse are the 5 leading business groups in the UK. They say that his so-called employment rights bill will be deeply damaging to growth.
Every week, Lindsay Hoyle should just announce, welcome to Kettle Pot Black.
Does the Prime Minister accept that they are right?
They're all hypocrites.
Or does he believe that he knows better than business?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's the same old Tories. Every time better rights for workers are on the table, they vote against them. Respect and dignity and protection at work are good for workers, good for the economy and good for growth.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister needs to listen to business. You cannot have employment rights without employment. Labour always forgets that it is not government that creates growth, it is business that creates growth. And businesses are closing, and they are blaming him and his Chancellor. There are 100,000 fewer jobs, Mr. Speaker. Hospices, charities, nurseries, they are facing bills from the jobs tax that they cannot afford. Even the unions say workers are being thrown on the scrap heap. And all of this before his unemployment bill makes hiring even more expensive. When will he admit that Labour isn't working?
Mr. Speaker, she says we should listen to... She should listen to business.
I will have the last... Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, she should listen to business. They're in favour of our trade deals. The India deal, fantastic deal. Tariffs on cars cut to 10%. Whiskey and gin, tariffs halved. £4.8 billion into our economy. What does she say she'll do with the India deal? She wants to rip it up. The US deal that saves thousands of jobs. What does she want to do? She wants to rip it up. The EU deal, good for our economy. She's not going to even wait to see what it says. She absurdly says she's going to rip it up. It is so unserious. She even was reduced last week to calling the Indian government, accusing them of fake news. No wonder she did so badly as a Trade Secretary. Mr. Speaker, the project for them is over. They're sliding into oblivion. They're a dead party walking.
Red Postman Swat might be a dead catchphrase walking as well.
Thousands of British jobs have been safeguarded by this government's trade agreement with the US.
Crikey, people.
Including those in my constituency who work for Jaguar Land Rover, like my next-door neighbour Ollie, proving that when Labour negotiates, workers win. Can the Prime Minister confirm to me that he will...
Except if these days they went down and supported a picket or a strike or went on a demo, they'd either get suspended and or arrested.
Continue to stand up for all workers and our vital motor manufacturing industry as he negotiates a better deal for Britain around the world.
Well, can I pay tribute to her for her work with JLR, standing up for the jobs in her constituency? The deal that we've agreed saves thousands of jobs in our car industry, securing the livelihoods of countless families. And Mr. Speaker, I've been up to JLR on a number of occasions, including last week. I know firsthand what it means for their workforce, for their families and for their communities. And the Leader of the Opposition says she would go and tell them she's going to rip it up. She should go up there. She says she's going to get against it. The Reform leader said, what did he say about JLR? He said JLR deserves to go bust. Shame on him. Labour are striking deals in the national interest.
The Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And on behalf of my party, can I offer heartfelt congratulations to His Holiness, Pope Leo XIV? And can I offer our support to the Prime Minister and his family after the appalling arson attacks on his home? And can I echo his thanks to our brilliant police and firefighters? Mr. Speaker, 3 years ago, the previous government was faced with a choice. Their own Migration Advisory Committee told ministers that recruiting more care workers required improved conditions, career progression and better pay. But the Conservatives chose not to do that and instead brought in large numbers of care workers.
Did I miss one there? Is it 22? I have it at 21. Anyone else? Keep it posted in the chat. Did you hear what someone was saying in the background there as well? Oh, well, that's simply just not true.
Now, those carers looking after our loved ones in care homes should be thanked, not demonised. But will the Prime...
I don't think there'll be any need for VAR. I'll make a note of the time in case it ends up a draw. If it does, that'd be some comeback.
Minister, do now the things the Conservatives refused to do, starting with a higher minimum wage for carers.
Prime Minister.
Can I first thank him for his comments about myself and my family? I do really appreciate it. It is important that we have fair pay for...
Look, okay, yeah, obviously what happened was a really bad thing. It wasn't his house, he doesn't live there. You know, he would have found about it via a phone call or whatever. Certainly should be saying, oh, but what about the people who actually are there?
Care workers, and that's why we've put in place our fair pay agreements. This is the first of its type. It will be applied first to care workers. to ensure that they get fair pay, but also a better framework for progression. As he will know, most people leaving care work are leaving care work to go to the NHS because of the pay and the ability to progress. Our fair pay agreements will deal with that to make sure that in the future those jobs are more secure. And I would just add, Mr. Speaker, declaration of interest. My sister is a care worker. I know firsthand how important the work is and how difficult
there he goes again
the
with
situation is facing them.
Oh, God, get to fuck, Starmer. With my family, that Dad was a toolmaker, Mum was a nurse, sister's a care worker now as well. So that does take us up to 22, at least, definitely. Gonna have to be a massive comeback from Postman Swap. But I also wanted to say, one thing that will bring down the numbers of carers, Starmer, is if you don't let them into the bloody country, which is what you announced this week. Do you not even know your own policies, man? Or do you think we've got memories like goldfish?
Shred, Davy.
For that reply, it's a good first step, but we'll still be seeing people earning more in Amazon warehouses and supermarkets than care homes, and that will mean our loved ones going without the care that they need. But turning to the Middle East now, Mr. Speaker, for more than 10 weeks, Israeli forces have blocked food, water and medicine getting into Gaza.
Yes, they have.
There is now a humanitarian catastrophe.
Yes, there is.
With 2 million people at risk of famine and 1 in 5 facing starvation.
1 in 5, 20%. 20%. That would be the equivalent of 12 million people, something like that, here in the UK. 12 to 14%. Officially starving.
Rather than ending this crisis, the Netanyahu government is planning to seize all Gaza indefinitely. Now, I know the Prime Minister will agree that the blockade to Gaza should end, and I'm sure he would agree that it would be appalling if Netanyahu proceeds with that escalation. But will he act now and pick up the phone to President Trump
to say
for
it's a
joint
genocide?
Plan to recognise Palestine,
ask him if it's a genocide,
and get food, water and medicine into Gaza?
Ask him if it's a genocide. All you've done with that question, which was right in itself, but you've also got to know the man who you're questioning here. You don't want to give him the option to come back with the same old response. We will make our best efforts to yada yada yada. This is something we're deeply concerned by, so on and so forth. Put the question to him as to whether it's a genocide. Because it is. The United Nations know it is. Get onto that a bit later in the stream. But that's what Ed Davies should have done there. Even though it's good to bring up the subject, don't give him an opportunity for a soft answer.
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank him for raising this because the situation in Gaza is simply intolerable and getting worse.
Right,
and we are working with other leaders urgently to bring about rapid and unimpeded flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza, which is
unimpeded. They're not at the gates for miles. I'm at risk of going off on a tangent here, people. I am going to be bringing up Gaza later. I'll just try and make a mental note to raise the point that I was about to, but I will save this one for later.
Desperately needed, obviously alongside the release of hostages, and to get back to
sausages.
A ceasefire, and that work is going on through my team 24/7. I do believe that is the initial action that needs to be taken, but I still fundamentally believe that however remote it may seem at the moment, the pathway to a two-state solution is the only way for settled and lasting peace in the Middle East, and we will continue with our allies to pursue that path.
What happened?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Found in my constituency, Durdle Door is one of the most iconic bathing sites in all the country. So last Friday, I was joined at Durdle Door by my honourable friends, the members for Bournemouth East, Bournemouth West, Poole, and most important...
I mean, don't mean to sound condescending to anyone who is from that particular constituency. I'm quite good on my UK geography, but I'm not familiar with that place. It sounds like something from Harry Potter or something like that. Doodle Door? What, or Doodle Don'ts? What's it called?
Sites in all the country. So last Friday, I was joined at Durdle Door by my...
Durdle Door? Durdle Door. Is that in the Shire? Or is it Game of Thrones? Is it in Westeros? Durdle Door? Is that the town? Or is that an area? We're talking about something within a town? Like a country park? What? Durdle? British place names, eh?
Honourable friends, the members for Bournemouth East, Bournemouth West, Poole, and most importantly, Ron, the local seal, to test the water quality at Durdle Door. Currently, water quality testing at bathing sites is only monitored from mid-May to September, which puts the health of all water users at risk who could be potentially swimming in pollution or sewage. With this in mind, will the Prime Minister work with me and my honourable friends to introduce all year round testing at popular bathing sites such as Durdle Door?
Yeah. Well, there's only one thing in the United Kingdom that's more full of shit than our streams and rivers, and that's any answer that you're going to get from Keith.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, everyone enjoying our beautiful beaches, lakes and rivers is entitled to know that the water is clean and safe.
Beautiful beaches. Do you know what they call Blackpool these days? Cesspool.
That's why we're modernising outdated bathing water regulations, including more regular monitoring sites to reflect local demand. And after years of failure by the party opposite, we're acting through our plan for change through new powers to tackle pollution, including banning bonuses.
I went for the buttons then. Plan for change. No, neither of those are in this week.
Jail terms for law-breaking bosses and real-time monitors of every sewage outlet.
Liz Saville-Roberts.
This Prime Minister once spoke of compassion and dignity for migrants and for defending free movement. Now he talks of islands of strangers and taking back control.
This is Liz Saville-Roberts, who's the parliamentary rep for Plaid Cymru.
Somebody here has to call this out, Mr. Speaker. It seems the only principle he consistently defends is whichever he last heard in a focus group. So I ask him, is there any belief he holds which survives a week in Downing Street?
Yes, the belief that she talks rubbish.
What was that? What was that? Rachel Reeves. Rachel Reeves. Oh, God. Oh.
Belief he holds.
What was that?
Survives a week in Downing Street.
Yes, the belief that she talks rubbish.
Oh, God. First of all, that was like straight out of the Johnson playbook, wasn't it? Keith. Or Sunak. Rachel Reeves actually displaying some human emotion as though... yeah. Great gags. Great gags, Keith. I mean... What are we, 12? Are we 12 years old? What? Can't believe that.
Yes, the belief that she talks rubbish. Mr. Speaker.
I've noticed Angela Rayner didn't budge a muscle either, just sort of nodded a little bit, but mostly stayed static. Reeves practically threw herself off a chair. Yeah, right, because, right, here's one. Get ready, Rachel. You're a lot of stupid, that's what you are. Sorry to not being condescending to anyone who's from the West Country in the UK. Come on, Keith.
Mr. Speaker.
Oh, she's grinning. What the hell?
Mr. Speaker, I want to lead a country where we pull together and walk into the future as neighbours and as communities, not as strangers.
I think at this point, Angela Rayner is thinking, you know, what have I got myself in for with these, you know. She gets to be Deputy Prime Minister. Madame Deputy Prime Minister. But at what cost? Well, I'll tell you what it's cost her. One human soul. Whatever that's worth. Or is. Sold the morals out.
The loss of control of migration by the last government put all of that at risk. And that's why we're fixing the system based on principles of control, selection and fairness.
Jonathan Brash.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Council tax is the most regressive and unfair tax in this country. It has become a tax on deprivation. The less affluent an area, the more you pay. The greater your need, the more...
This guy's come dressed as the Reform Party flyer.
You pay. A Band D property in Westminster pays just £1,017 a year. In Hartlepool, it's £2,495 a year. For a Band H property, the difference between those two areas is £3,000. It is hammering people in towns like Hartlepool. Does the Prime Minister agree that this unfairness cannot continue, and will he commit to addressing this inequality once and for all?
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank my honourable friend. He's been a dedicated campaigner on this for a very long time. As he knows, 14 years of mismanagement by the party opposite left councils on their knees with a total failure to improve and update how councils are funded. Through £69 billion of funding this year and the upcoming multi-year settlement, the first in over a decade, will give councils far greater certainty and stability. Our detailed funding review will create a fairer system to make sure his constituents see strong, affordable local services.
Wendy Moore.
Mr. Speaker.
Well, the way things are going in the local elections, if that had been nationwide, you'd barely have any councillors left to change anything at a local level.
While the Prime Minister prefers to take to the international stage, back here at home, Labour's Birmingham bin strike is now in its 10th week. Rubbish is still piled on the streets and recycling goes uncollected. And the reputation of the West Midlands is being trashed. His ministers continue to wash their hands of this. His mayor doesn't even want to talk about it. So will the Prime Minister come to the West Midlands and sort this out? Because at the moment, it's only the squeaky blinders that are winning.
Well, further evidence.
And where is Jess Phillips? Where is supposedly Birmingham's finest Labour MP in the darkest hour? We've heard Angela Rayner talking about the strikes, but she's gone quiet. Is she there? Does she want to say anything? This is her patch.
Mr. Speaker, of the decline of the Tory party when they say that going to Ukraine at the weekend to try and secure peace for Ukraine and for Europe and the security and defence of Europe is somehow the wrong priority. That conflict has already massively impacted people in this country through the cost of living crisis.
Did I miss something, or was the question not about the bin strike in Birmingham?
And energy. Ukraine, Europe and we deserve peace and to live in peace.
Is he basically saying, I don't care about the strike in Birmingham because I've been off around perhaps clearing things off tables with French and German delegates, you know what I mean? Is that what he's saying? Did I miss something in the question? Why is he talking about Ukraine instead of the Birmingham bin strike?
Mr. Speaker, on the bin, dealing with the bin strikes is the priority.
Oh,
we continue to call on Unite.
He pressed the wrong... he's been programmed incorrectly for how to respond. Someone press the Ukraine button instead of the Birmingham bin strike button.
To suspend the strike immediately and bring the disruption to an end. We are supporting the Council to ramp up the cleaning operation and now collecting over 1,100 tonnes of waste every day and continue to offer our support so the backlog doesn't reappear.
13 watching and only 5 likes. Well, we can't have that, can we? Double check that you've hit the thumbs up button, people, as you come into the stream. Much appreciated. Thanks for the feedback there, Davinia. Do smash that button like you enjoy smashing Keir Starmer in the bollocks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, I visited Sacred Heart Primary School in Hyndburn, where the excellent teachers expressed their frustration at the current SEND system. One wonderful boy, who despite being non-verbal and requiring personal support, has been waiting for over 18 months for an EHCP, and there is a risk now that he won't get a place in a school for the year ahead that suits his needs. How will the Prime Minister ensure that the voices of parents and children are at the heart of the SEND reforms that the government will bring forward?
He won't. He'll make further cuts and then come back to that dispatch box and say £22 billion black hole, 14 years of Tories, again and again, until he's blue in the face. Haven't you got used to it yet?
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank my honourable friend. She's a powerful champion on this issue. Our principle is that every young person with special education needs should receive the right support to succeed. We've immediately announced an additional £1 billion for high needs funding, including almost 20 million for schools in Lancashire. We will support special schools and deliver truly inclusive places and expertise in mainstream schools to help every child thrive.
Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We at Reform, a party that is alive and kicking, very much enjoyed your speech on Monday. You seem to be learning a very great deal from us. But can I encourage you, please, to go further as a matter of national security? As a matter of national security. Over the weekend, an illegal immigrant from Iran, who we believe came by boat, was arrested in the north of England on serious charges of terrorism. Since the speech on Monday, 1,000 young, undocumented young males have crossed the English Channel. Does the Prime Minister agree? Now is the time to declare...
Nigel, you want to talk about one? I'll tell you about 12 mentioned on last week's stream. This is very recently here in the north, in the northwest of the UK. There was a grooming gang of 12 white people. I do not want to talk about those people. It's only ever non-whites who come into this conversation, isn't it?
The situation in the English Channel as a national security emergency.
It wasn't my speech, it was the Prime Minister's.
Mr. Speaker, the situation is serious. The last government lost control of the borders. We are...
My God, Hoyle actually did some live fact-checking there for a change.
Taking powers. The Borders Bill, precisely to his point, the Borders Bill is the first bill to give terrorism-like powers to law enforcement, precisely so that we can get in before the...
A back and forth on immigration with Farage.
Crimes are committed before people get to this country. That's why this is the most far-reaching provision ever for law enforcement to defend and secure our borders. And that's why it is extraordinary that he, of all people, voted against it. And sooner or later he's going to have to explain it.
Amanda Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, since my election, I've been championing and backing our country's plumbers, builders, electricians and all trades. These are not the people just building Britain, but holding all of our communities together. That's why I've been campaigning for tougher sentencing and...
What the actual fuck does that say? Just bear with me, people. Right, yeah. This, what's that necklace say? Pompeii Barbie. Pompeii Barbie. She's from Portsmouth. Pompey. Yeah.
Action on tool theft.
Oh, Belle. Pompey Belle. Thought it said Barbie. Just sorry. Like, what on earth is that? Around your neck. Okay. Moving on.
And for the real cost of this crime to be recognised. I want to firstly thank everyone in the sector who's backed the campaign, because together we've shown that the message is clear. 14 years of government neglect. It's time for action and change. Will the Prime Minister work with me, the Secretary of State for Justice, and myself to include my bill as we review sentencing and justice so the punishment finally fits this crime?
Can I commend my honourable friend? She's led the campaign to highlight the devastating impact of these crimes. Mr. Speaker, for hard-working small businesses, the theft of tools isn't just a violation. It can mean thousands of pounds of potential work lost.
Your father would be very, very angry as well, wouldn't he, Keith?
With a huge impact to businesses and to families. We're investing over
They've stolen
£1.2
the
billion
tools,
extra
Father.
into policing,
They've
with
stolen them.
13,000 new neighbourhood police to focus on crimes that impact on...
I'm not making light of tool theft. This is obviously a problem, you know. You see it on vans all the time, no tools left in this vehicle overnight on the back doors and whatnot. I'm not making light of the issue, but just tools, Starmer. Father!
Communities the most. And I pay tribute to my honourable friend, and I know the Justice Secretary will look at the details carefully.
Andrew Stone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Whether you agree with the Prime Minister's net zero targets or not, I'm sure the Prime Minister will agree that you won't achieve them, or he won't achieve them, without taking people with him. The cabling corridor, substation corridor for the Morgan and Morecambe offshore wind farm is now one of the most objected to national energy infrastructure projects in the country. And
why?
What is angering myself and thousands of others is that there is a perfectly alternative cabling route further up the coastline, which would actually have local economic benefit, would be more cost-effective as a whole life cycle project, and could connect to existing national grid infrastructure. But no one is listening. So will the Prime Minister now listen and pause the planning inquiry for the existing application and ask the Department to consider and cost the alternative route to avoid untold devastation to our coastline and countryside?
It does seem like a sensible suggestion, request, or solution, whatever you want to call it. Keith's obviously going to be useless on green energy. This guy could fuck up a cup of black coffee, for God's sake.
Well, can I thank him for his question? As he will know, the Secretary of State is going through a quasi-judicial exercise, and therefore I'm limited in what I can say, but let me do the best I can within those constraints, because the project is going through its examination, where interested parties can put forward their views on the application and should do so. And more broadly, as we drive forward renewable projects, the planning process is designed to ensure impacts are carefully considered.
Driving up renewable projects, yeah. You know, we could have, at times of year like this, for example, you won't be paying for your energy. You'd be selling it. You'd actually be profiting from it with solar and things like this. I'm not even kidding you, this could be a thing. People like Starmer certainly lack the imagination for things like this, even if it's only at a national level, but you could also do it at a global level. Because obviously here in the UK we don't always have weeks like this. We're having more of them, and they're getting longer and hotter. Well, that's just one of the solutions, and really needs to ramp up tidal as well. But Keith's gonna Keith.
Thank you.
Fred Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The United Kingdom has rightly helped arm Ukraine with modern, effective capability, and we're sending them some £4.5 billion this year. But after decades of relying
Yeah,
on
just found £4 billion
our own forces
pounds
are ill-equipped
lying around the
for modern
place,
warfare.
down the back of the sofa.
With
Yeah.
colleagues interested in defence
I was emptying my pockets before I put my stuff in the wash, and I just found £4 billion there that I forgot I'd withdrawn. You know, God, yeah, just must have stuck it in the back pocket there in a rush a few days ago and forgot about it.
technology, I'm developing a proposal for a joint UK-Ukraine production hub on British soil. This would support Ukraine while also modernising our own forces at warfighting scale and creating the jobs and know-how needed to rearm and stay secure. Will the Prime Minister use his good offices to help support this proposal?
Yeah, so essentially what he's saying, war good, public money for war good, public money for public services, bad. That's something that Starmer should be commended for, is it? According to this guy, sorry, I don't know his name. Yeah, what a crock. Davinia, you're quite right there, it is particularly warm for this time of year. In fact, it's the driest spring that we've had for quite some time now, and breaking other records along the way. Although I did hear this come up on a news segment earlier, and the Tory response, Tories being who they are, the guy was like, well, it was quite wet this winter. I don't see what all the fuss is about. The reservoirs are 30% lower than they are normally at this time of year. It's like, oh, because we had a slightly wet winter.
Well, my honourable and gallant friend is right that our ironclad support for Ukraine should go hand in hand with firing up our own defence industries. And that means well-paid, secure jobs right across the country, including in Plymouth, and strengthening national security. We reiterated our support for Ukraine in Kyiv last weekend, and I'm proud that British industries are playing their part supporting Ukraine against Russia's illegal invasion. I'll make sure that he meets the relevant minister to discuss his proposal.
John Long. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. People in the real world are disgusted by the Energy Secretary's obsessive pursuit of net zero at any cost. The Scottish Borders is under attack with solar farms the size of towns, massive wind farms and now mega pylons scarring unspoilt landscapes. Nobody sensible supports his crazed crank policies that will put jobs at risk and rip up farmland. Yeah. So when will the Prime Minister step in and stop his Energy Secretary throwing taxpayers' money at...
This guy getting another question again, and why is it, you know, Mr. Do nothing about the climate crisis? Mr. capitulates to impending doom over here because it might, in his words, spoil the landscape. Well, I'll tell you what. How about flooded fields as far as the eye can see all the way to the horizon? How does that suit your nice landscape? You stupid bastard.
It's nonsense.
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, only a few years ago, dealing with the climate challenge was a shared endeavour across this House. And it's yet further evidence of how far his party has fallen, that they cannot see the significance and importance of tackling one of the major challenges of our time. I think we should rise to that challenge, not be defeatist about it. And it's further evidence, as far as I can see, that the Tory project is just finished.
Jake Richards.
Well, speaking of being finished, Postman Pat is just a few minutes away from potentially being finished in his first defeat for some time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Male suicide.
Was that a dealing? Very quick VAR there.
About it, and it's
Sorry,
further
I've got
evidence,
such a dry
as far as I
throat
can
tonight.
see, that the
I
Tory
do need to
project is
rebrew.
just finished.
Jake Richards.
Go on, we'll give him
Mr. Speaker, male suicide
good benefit
is
of the
a
doubt there.
tragic
Might as well.
epidemic
He's
in
going
our
to take
country.
a twatting anyway.
Each week, almost 100 men take their own lives, and suicide is the biggest killer of men aged under 50. In my constituency, I'm working with Andy's Man Club in Maltby, the learning community in Dinnington, and Better Today in Kiverton Park to try and raise awareness about the fantastic groups who offer support for men in the most difficult circumstances. Will the Prime Minister use this opportunity to support the campaign that we are undertaking in my constituency and also reassure those groups and my constituents
that mental health services for men will be a priority for his government.
Yada, yada, yada. Get you in touch with the relevant minister.
Issue.
The end.
And across the House, I know members will have their own personal and tragic experiences of suicide.
23,
Mr. Speaker, we've launched a call for evidence on our men's health strategy, which will improve men's health in all parts of the country, including tackling devastatingly high suicide rates. We're also investing £26 million in new mental health crisis centres, funding talking therapies for 380,000 more people and recruiting 8,500 more mental health workers.
Bobby Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The plans to upgrade
That's an arbitrary number.
Hospital,
I'm sure he's just pulled that one out of the sky.
Specialist emergency care building have been put back by 10 years. Now, I'm talking with the Trust about a way to bring all or part of those plans forward, but in the meantime, they have a very real fear that some of the buildings on the existing estate are at risk of catastrophic failure before the decade is out. So can the government...
Is everything okay in the chat? Well, there's not any... Is there a row? I hope not.
Reassure me that they'll work with the local trust on a plan
Nothing
to
wrong with
maintain and adapt the
debate as
existing
well.
estate
Just
to
make
ensure
sure you
that
keep
St
it
Helios
cordial,
Hospital
people.
can survive all the way through to the major works being complete.
The honourable members' constituents have been badly let down by the previous government's empty promises, which we're never going to deliver. We put the new hospitals programme on a sustainable financial footing, increasing the NHS capital budget to record levels so we can address the backlog of critical maintenance, repairs and upgrades. And I'll make sure that he gets a meeting with the relevant minister to discuss the particular case.
Thank
you very much, Mr. Speaker. Great Grimsby and Cleethorpes is the renewable energy capital of England, delivering homegrown, secure energy and boosting local skills. And over 12,000 people are employed in a clean energy job in Greater Lincolnshire. But these jobs are now under threat from Reform's new mayor, who has declared war on renewables, putting livelihoods at risk. What steps will the Prime Minister take to protect jobs by supporting the supply chain and delivery of renewable projects?
Well, she's lined him up.
Mr. Speaker, she's a superb champion for energy security, driving down bills and the good secured jobs that renewables offer. And the parties opposite are climate defeatists. Anti-jobs, anti-growth, anti-business and anti-investment. And they should go and peddle their policies to the tens of thousands of people, working people in this country, working in renewables every single day. They don't think that Britain has the skills and they would deny us incredible...
I see. I'm the best and you all smell like tea. Very modest of you there, very modest. I see.
Opportunities. We're focused on securing billions in investment, creating tens of thousands of jobs and taking us off the roller coaster of an international fossil fuels.
Alison Griffith.
Thank you.
Wait, but you've also said, Keith, that you're going to be needing to rely on fossil fuels for decades to come, so you can't have your cake and eat it, unfortunately, Keith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A constituent of mine, Victor Franklin, was made severely disabled after a savage dog attack left him with multiple amputations. Will the Prime Minister explain why pensioners like Victor, who become severely disabled after retirement, are excluded from claiming personal independence payments and are instead limited to the lesser support of attendance allowance? And will he commit to reviewing this unfair rule?
Prime Minister.
Can I extend my thoughts to Victor and the awful circumstances that she describes, which must be extremely challenging. We do have to reform the system that we've got. It's not working. I think there's a general agreement about that, but the principles have to be clear, that we protect and secure those that need that protection and security. We help those who can work into work, and those who can work should work.
Can we have some order in the chat, sir?
But we have to reform the system that we've got to make it a better system, because what we've got doesn't work.
Nigel Cuttiska.
Mr. Speaker. Every week I meet families in Barking and Dagenham who tell me that they worry about paying for their bills because they are on a 0-hour contract.
My constituents want the chance to work hard in a secure job, earn a decent wage, and have...
I mean, we all know that 0-hour contracts would have gone in the bin at 9 o'clock day one in 2019. If the former leader of the opposition had won that election, don't we? Here we are, 6 years later, and still 0 hours contracts coming up in the House of Commons. When will it end?
Dignity in their workplace. As Labour plans for change delivers the biggest uplift in workers' rights in a generation, does the Prime Minister agree with me that Reform MPs working and voting against our employment rights bill show that they are no friend of workers in this country?
She's absolutely right. Let's be clear what the parties opposite voted against. Stronger statutory sick pay, they voted against. The right to guaranteed hours, they voted against. Protection from unfair dismissal, they voted against. Stronger protection for pregnant mothers, they voted against. Insecure work, a package worth £600 to the poorest workers, they voted against. Mr. Speaker, we're backing British workers. They vote against them at every turn.
Adam Dance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Maternity services in Yeovil are due to shut on Monday after a deeply flawed CQC inspection in January and be moved to Musgrove Park Hospital in Taunton, which does not have the capacity for an extra 1,300 births a year. While the closure is initially for 6 months, I've received no guarantee it will open again. This creates huge fear. Will the Prime Minister or relative minister agree to meet with me and colleagues in the South West to stop this decision?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful to him for raising this issue, which must be of concern. I'm not across the details of it, I'm afraid, at this stage, but I will make sure that he gets a meeting with the relevant minister to get to the bottom of the issue that he's described.
That completes Prime Minister's questions.
And so it was the final question. Well, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, their thems, and comrades alike, look at that. Keir Starmer, your boy took one hell of a beating. 23-4. The champion of the day. By far and wide is the new kid on the block. It's Deal. Well, that's something that Postman Twats is going to have to deal with. Of course, gets another chance to fight back next week. 2 losses in a row, though, mean that we could see the long-running champion, and I'd have to go back and check how many successive weeks it's won for, but could be out. It could be out. Oh, apologies. Huge margin there as well. 4-23. Mostly standard PMQs. We were all aghast at the progress by the new kid on the block, of course, but also that question that the Plaid Cymru MP asked as well, and Keith and Reeves' response to that. That's one of the standout moments, I think. Standout cringe. Keith Edmonds is the winner, yes. Quite correct, Andy. And we got Ian McKenna in the chat as well. Flow Snake as well, quite a few people joined as we were going through there, so I've not been able to acknowledge everybody. As you come in with us, Morbius as well. Great to see you all. Solidari-Tea. Wow. I'll just tidy up the screen one moment. And we got the customary cutaway to Wesley, didn't we, a couple of times with the NHS? You know what, people? I'm beginning to think that these PMQ sessions are becoming somewhat predictable and repetitive. You know, you might laugh at the mere suggestion of that, but I'm certainly getting one or two hints that it could be. Gonna move on though. I do need to get a fresh brew, so what we'll do, I'm going to play this clip. It's an excellent speech. It's an excellent, well, essentially it's a presentation of evidence as well in the statement at the United Nations from Tom Fletcher. So I'm just going to let this run whilst I go and top up my brewing stuff. But I'll try not to interrupt too much. Yeah, trigger warning as well. There's a few examples of what the IDF have done in Gaza that he brings up, particularly harrowing examples for anyone of a disposition. I should just say that as well. There's one in particular that I heard earlier on the news before I saw the full clip of his statement, and it really does bring up some horrific images. But that's the whole point in this. We've got to see Israel brought to justice. We've got to see the IDF brought to justice, Netanyahu himself, the whole rotten lot.
Briefing you again on this subject is a grim undertaking.
And I'll just point out the title though, even though, big deep breath here people. He is Under Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator.
Before starting, I ask you to reflect for a moment on what action we will tell future generations we each took to stop the 21st century atrocity to which we bear daily witness in Gaza. It is a question we will hear, sometimes incredulous, sometimes furious, but always there for the rest of our lives. We will surely all claim to have been against it. Maybe we will say we issued a statement, or that we trusted that private pressure might work despite so much evidence to the contrary. Or pretend that we thought a more brutal military offensive had more chance of bringing the hostages home than the negotiations which brought so many hostages home. Maybe some will recall that in a transactional world we had other priorities. Or maybe we will use those empty words, we did all we could. Mr. President, let me start with what we see and are mandated by this Council to report. Israel is deliberately and unashamedly imposing inhumane conditions on civilians in the occupied Palestinian territory. For more than 10 weeks, nothing has entered Gaza, no food, medicine, water, or tents. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have again been forcibly displaced and confined into ever-shrinking spaces, as 70% of Gaza's territory is either within Israeli militarized zones or under displacement orders. As my colleague from the FAO will explain, every single one of the 2.1 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip face the risk of famine. 1 in 5 face starvation. Despite the fact that you have funded the food that could save them. The few hospitals that have somehow survived bombardment are overwhelmed. The medics who have somehow survived drone and sniper attacks cannot keep up with the trauma and the spread of disease. Even today, the European Gaza hospital in Khan Yunis was bombed again with even more civilians.
Hey people, Brewers Brewing. Yeah, I am back. I've been listening while I've been gone. But that's a great point as well, just as has been mentioned in the chat also. No one can pretend this time. Definitely not. This is something that you can't tell future generations that you didn't know was happening. As might have happened during previous atrocities throughout history. It's completely 100% undeniable. And what you're going to say to future generations about what you did? Or did you just choose to stick your head in the sand? Or did you say that you don't want to get involved with it, you know, or you don't do politics and whatnot? Or you might even worry that you might be falsely accused of being an anti-Semite or something like that. But there are no excuses. Definitely no excuses. Israel aren't going to find any.
Million casualties reported.
Any legitimate ones, anyway.
I can tell you from having visited what's left of Gaza's medical system that death on this scale has a sound and a smell that does not leave you. As one hospital worker described it, children scream as we peel burnt fabric from their skin.
Ugh.
And yet we hear that we did all we could. Mr. President, our response as humanitarians is to make a single ask of the Council. Let us work. The UN and our partners are desperate to resume humanitarian aid at scale across Gaza in line with the fundamental principles of humanity, impartiality, independence, and neutrality. We have a plan. We have shown we can deliver with tens of thousands of trucks reaching civilians during the ceasefire. We have life-saving supplies ready now at the borders.
I'm just going to come in here and get back to that point. I did remember something I was going to bring up during PMQs, but I'll talk about it now. They wheeled out David Mensa yet again today. I heard some of what he was talking about on BBC. I think it was Radio 4's Today programme. And again, real piss-boiling stuff from David, I've got a bridge to sell you, Mensa. But he tried to accuse starvation. He tried to accuse Hamas of being responsible for the starvation, I should say. And he was very insistent and repetitive in those accusations as well. But all it takes, excuse me, all it takes to throw that lie, that propaganda into the sea, as it were, is just two basic facts, okay? If Hamas are looting from Palestinians, then they have to be doing that within Palestine, don't they? But there isn't any food to loot in Palestine. And if they were looting in Palestine, then why, for miles and miles down the road, do we see trucks waiting at the border in Egypt? They wouldn't be there. If it's getting stolen once it gets in, and that's causing the starvation, then they wouldn't be there. What is actually happening is they've been stopped from entering. And it's there. It's these lines of trucks go for miles and miles. It's easy to observe. You know, Mensa thinks the world is stupid. He thinks that propaganda like that will wash. No. As we heard earlier, the statistics are real. 1 in 5 people is starving. They are starving to death. Others are dying of disease that goes along with it, including diarrhea, dysentery, these kind of awful diseases, and these aren't pretty ways to go, people. I don't know if you know about the biological processes of the kind of suffering that happens before you die with this kind of thing. But no, it's not a good way to go. And it's certainly an inhumane way to treat people. This is a great speech. It's very difficult to listen to, but we do have to face up to the truth, however grim it may be. You know, and if you do feel something, if it does really get to you, then that just shows that you are a human being. You really are. All that shows is that you care, that you have emotions. You're a caring, empathetic human being who can sympathise with people halfway across the world and their suffrage. So just remember that. I know it's hard to listen to the details sometimes, but they're the things that we have to remember and that we must fight until they're free.
We can save hundreds of thousands of survivors. We have rigorous mechanisms to ensure our aid gets to civilians and not to Hamas. But Israel denies us access, placing the objective of depopulating Gaza before the lives of civilians. It is bad enough that the blockade continues. How do you react when Israeli ministers boast of it? Or when attacks on humanitarian workers and violations of the UN's privileges and immunities continue, along with restrictions on international and non-governmental organisations? Mr. President, this Council has adopted resolutions that demand all parties to the conflict comply with international humanitarian law and protection of civilians, including humanitarian personnel. A reminder that Israel also has clear obligations under international humanitarian law. It must treat civilians humanely, with respect for their inherent human dignity. It must not forcibly transfer, deport, or displace the civilian population of an occupied territory. As the occupying power, it must agree to aid and facilitate it.
Again, that's true if you're occupying a country. It's your responsibility to take care of the civilian population in that country. Obviously, Israel aren't doing that. But the only reason is that they feel exceptional. They feel as though they're above the law. They feel as though the ICJ can't touch them, the United Nations can't touch them, the ICC can't touch them because they're backed up by the United States of America. And they act as though they have impunity. They act as though they can't be held accountable.
So for anyone still pretending to be in any doubt, the Israeli-designed distribution modality is not the answer. It practically excludes many, including people with disabilities, women, children, the elderly, the wounded. It forces further displacement. It exposes thousands of people to harm. It sets an unacceptable precedent for aid delivery, not just in the OPT, but around the world. It restricts aid to only one part of Gaza, while leaving other dire needs unmet. It makes aid conditional on political and military aims. It makes starvation a bargaining chip. It is a cynical sideshow, a deliberate distraction, a fig leaf for further violence and displacement. If any of that still matters, have no part in it. Mr. President, for the record, we have tried. The UN has met 12 times, and again this morning, with the Israeli authorities to discuss this proposed modality. We wanted to find a way to make it possible. We repeatedly explained the minimum conditions for our involvement on the basis of long-settled fundamental principles. Aid based on independent assessments of who needs it, the globally tested and donor-demanded basic requirement, and the ability to deliver aid to all those in need, wherever they are.
As you can see, we're experiencing a minor technical difficulty here on my left eye. Our team of expertly trained technicians are working busily to restore the stream. In the meantime, please make sure that you've hit the thumbs up button harder than you'd like to hit Keir Starmer in the Ghoulies, and left a comment down below. Thank you.
Okay, she'll be back on now. Sorry about that minor technical difficulty. Just wanted to point out, going back to what I said earlier about attacks on aid as well. We've seen many examples of Israel doing this, but zero of Hamas, and I'm talking about things like the attack on the World Central Kitchen, which killed 2 British aid workers as well. Multiple incidents involving gangs attacking Palestinians and aids in these pogroms as well. Disgusting. But again, zero evidence of who they're accusing. Like zero, literally nothing.
The Secretary-General set out the relevant international law in his submissions to the International Court of Justice. And your resolutions have strongly condemned starvation of civilians as a method of warfare and the unlawful denial of humanitarian access. Resolution 2417 demands the Council's full attention to widespread conflict-induced food insecurity. Mr. President, it's not just Gaza. Appalling violence is also increasing in the West Bank, where the situation is the worst in decades. The use of heavy weaponry, military methods of war, excessive force, forcible displacement, demolitions and movement restrictions. Ongoing illegal settlement expansion. Entire communities destroyed, refugee camps depopulated. Settlements expanding and settler violence continuing at alarming levels. Sometimes with the support of Israeli forces. Recently, settlers abducted a 13-year-old girl and her 3-year-old brother. They were found tied to a tree.
My goodness. Tied to a tree. What was it, a 14-year-old and a 3-year-old? No. No. That's just beyond words.
Do we also say to them that we did all we could? Mr. President, there is, I fear, a broader context here.
No, I wasn't.
For the past 19 months, Palestinian journalists, civil society, and individuals have live-streamed.
Couldn't really find the words for a second there. Sorry about that.
Many have been targeted and killed for their testimony. And during this time, international aid workers have been the only international civilian presence in Gaza, watching and reporting the unfolding horror. We are your eyes and your ears. And be in no doubt that we feel the weight of that responsibility, to you, to the communities we serve, and to the world. And so we have briefed this council in great detail.
Charge them,
extensive civilian
convict
harm
them,
that we witness
and arrest
daily.
them.
Death,
by due process.
injury.
Don't give their piece of shit lawyers a single chance of them getting off by any miscarriage of justice. Not following the due process. But just, I know it sounds very simple to just say get it done. I really do hate that, you know, people who just use that line over and over again. But you know what I mean, please. Actually follow through. And I hope that this thing with the ICJ comes through as well. Tom Fletcher's very good. I'm not criticising Tom Fletcher. This is a great speech. He's been there. He's seen it. He's been on the ground. Like he said, what he saw and even smelt will stay with him forever, he said. Good on him.
Destruction, hunger, disease, torture, other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment, repeated displacement on a large scale. We have described the deliberate obstruction of aid operations and the systematic dismantling of Palestinian life and that which sustains it in Gaza. So you have that information. And now the ICJ is considering whether a genocide is taking place in Gaza. It will weigh the testimony that we have shared, but it will be too late. Recognizing the urgency, the ICJ has indicated clear provisional measures that must be implemented now, yet they have not. Previous reviews of the UN's conduct in cases of large-scale violations of international human rights and humanitarian law, reports on Myanmar 2019, Sri Lanka 2012, Srebrenica, Rwanda, both in 1999, pointed to our collective failure to speak to the scale of violations while they were committed. So for those killed and those whose voices are silenced, what more evidence do you need now? Will you act decisively to prevent genocide and to ensure respect for international humanitarian law? Or will you say instead that we did all we could? Mr. President, this degradation of international law is corrosive and infectious. It is undermining decades of progress on rules to protect civilians from inhumanity and the violent and lawless among us who act with impunity. Humanity, the law, and reason must prevail. This council must prevail. Demand this ends. Stop arming it. Insist on accountability.
Yeah.
To the Israeli Authority.
We should insist on accountability for anyone arming it as well. And that brings our country into that discussion as well, unfortunately. We don't want to be on the wrong side of history as a country. As individuals, I certainly know that everybody who's on the stream tonight will be on the right side of history in calling for a free Palestine and an end to the occupation of the West Bank and Gaza. And we can all be very proud of that, but as a country, we certainly can't be proud of our current record.
Stop killing and injuring civilians. Lift this brutal blockade. Let humanitarians save lives. To Hamas and other armed Palestinian groups, release all hostages immediately and unconditionally. Stop putting civilians at risk during military operations. And for those who will not survive what we fear is coming, in plain sight, it will be no consolation to know that future generations will hold us in this chamber to account. But they will. And if we have not seriously done all we could, then we should fear that judgment.
We should. That's the end of Tom Fletcher's great statement there at the United Nations. That's the deep breath. Under Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Refugee. Fantastic. Well said. Difficult not to get a bit emotional. Things like that. Thank you very much for throwing up the flags and watermelons in the chat. Do appreciate it. Free Palestine, people. In our thousands, in our millions. One final word on Gaza before we move on. Unfortunately, it's with a heavy heart that I have to report today's attacks have killed another 100 people. Still waiting for those reports. Yesterday as well, the European hospital in Khan Yunis was also attacked, and there were dozens of casualties there, so it has been a bloody week, like a lot of weeks have been for Gaza. I'll just be one moment, people. Okay, I'm ready and waiting for your suggestions, people, on the future volumes of the Brews at 10, the album.
Do you like a hot, tasty beverage with your music? Then My Left Eye has got a treat for your ears. The Brews at 10, the album. All your favourite beverage-based hits from the 1960s to now, all in one place.
Volume 5 is now available, featuring Brew Got It, Roy Orbison, Tea for One, Led Zeppelin, I Want Brew, Tea So Heavy, The Beatles, No Limits, Tea Unlimited, Brew on My Sunshine, Johnny Cash, plus many more. Order now.
Actual footage of me during technical difficulties on the stream. Thanks once again to all the members on the channel. And thank you very much for getting us over that milestone as well. 100 members now. We are growing. Brew crew is strong. Thank you very much. Really do appreciate all the contributions. Thanks to everybody who's renewed lately, as well as gifted memberships. Double check that you've hit thumbs up on the stream as well. Give us a share around your social media, and please do give us a follow while you're there. We're on Blue Sky at My Left Eye UK, as well as on Mastodon and Twitter. And Andy Carter, thanks for another gifted membership. And all of your support on the channel takes us to 101. Bullseye, Edward Sexby, who has been a member previously as well, I'm sure, and a viewer and chatter, so welcome back. Yeah, what an awesome stream for memberships. That's 12 in total on the stream. Marvellous members, marvellous stuff. Right, people, stay in your seats or whatever position if you're non-sedentary. Let's see who's around for a raid. Let's just get towards the end of the stream, but could still be other content to come. Yeah, we've not managed to stream on the last couple of episodes, but we've got No Justice is still streaming, so we'll go straight over there. Without further ado, people, thanks for an awesome PMQ's live stream. It's been great to catch up with you all. It's been great to get over that membership goal as well. Thanks once again for that. I'll be with you soon on another Brews at 10. But take care of yourself, people. My left eye, will be seeing you soon. Good night. Power to the people. Oh, well, just without a moment to spare. Okay, quite awkward. So No Justice has raided into us now, just as I'm finishing, but I might just wait for everyone to arrive to say, hello, I must be going. I'm going to have to come up with some content now, aren't I? It's getting late. I'll be up all bloody night at this rate. Right, what's going on? What's going on? I mean, you know, have you heard about the migration of penguins is affecting carrots on the Norwegian stock exchange? That's the scandal I need to talk about the most. That's the most pertinent thing in politics, I think, at the moment. Okay, people just joining us from No Justice. A little bit awkward. We were just about to raid into No Justice when I got the notification. Thank you very much to Helen at No Justice for the raid, I should say, and everybody who's on my stream. If you don't follow them already, do go over and subscribe on YouTube. So I was literally just signing off. I'd literally just said good night and done my sign off bit. And there it there it came. But please do hit thumbs up on the stream whilst you're here, albeit briefly. You can stick around. There's going to be a funny meme coming up in a moment. There's still, you know, a little bit more content to milk out of the stream, so stick around for that. It's a really good one. I'll give a shout out to people as they arrive as well. That'll prolong things as well as help get interactive. So we've got Lee Johnson, Captain Coconut, Jay Griffin Blaze, Ruth Guthrie, great to see you, Chloe Guzman, amongst others, Weed Jock Poop Pong McPlop. Weed Jock Poop Pong McPlop. Thank you for joining us as well. YouTube's telling me now would be a great time to insert an advert. I'm not doing that. Of course, if you're watching live, there's just one stream at the one ad at the beginning of the stream, but none throughout. But there will be ads if you're watching back later on. Okay, people. Well, we can all shout Free Palestine together as Lee Johnson's demonstrating as well. We were just closing off with that great speech at the United Nations today. Tom Fletcher, as well as the latest updates. Graham Turner, great to see you as well. But I'm just signing off myself. Please hit buttons while you're here. It'll help to give us a boost on the old algorithm. I also wanted to say I'm very pleased to announce to people just coming in from No Justice that the channel reached a huge milestone today of getting past 100 members. So thank you very much. I can see some familiar members and familiar faces in the chat as well. Thanks for all of your support. And wow, now gone over 200 views on tonight's stream. That's awesome. That's quite a rarity. With 78 people watching at the moment, so that's fantastic. Do you want to watch an ad? Okay, well, go on then. You're asking for it. What, really? Okay, this'll prolong things, and then I've never done that before, you see. So I'm guessing you just come back and hear me a little bit further in the past after you've watched the ad, or press skip or whatever. Did you buy the thing? Did you go to the thing? Whatever it was, that helps. If it was up your street, click on the button on the advert. I think YouTube like that sort of thing. sound like a Radio 6 DJ. Well, I've never really listened to much Radio 6, if I'm being perfectly honest. And up next is a transfusion band from Barnsley. Is that sort of thing? Is that what you mean? Oh, well, I guess that would warrant a tangent alert, maybe. No, just an amber tangent warning. So, that being the case, I'm going to have to see if there's anybody else to raid into, aren't I? As it's just gone past midnight here in the UK. No, there's an upcoming Navarra one. There's one that says it's upcoming from Rathbone, but I'm not falling for that one again. That one was in the past. I've figured out as well why it's the random timestamp as well. It's, you know, people just don't exactly come on the minute, but I'm shackled to my schedule with the title. I'm not complaining. It's great to be with you here at 10 PM or from 10 PM. So now we're going to have to talk about transfusion, aren't we? Don't say that around Lee Anderson, he'll go off on one. Transfusion? Oh, they want deporting. Like, no, it's a musical genre, Lee. It's got nothing to do with transsexuality or transvestism. Right, okay then people, I am genuinely going to have to call it a night now, unfortunately. Thanks very much for joining us from Helena's stream though. Just do my little sign off again. Anyway, yeah, take care everybody. I'll be catching up with everybody soon. That's all from me. I've been Lefty, you've been fantastic. Free Palestine and power to the people. And this time I am going to play the outro music.